Welcome back to Brush Up Your Game, and today I look back at the U.S.S. Grissom card pack. This was the first card pack that came out. In fact, it came out before the 2017 starter set. It did come out in 2017, just right before the starter set. Um, this is a feed off, a launching pad. No, launched from the Pegasus, uses the same model, the Oberth class. But takes it in a very different direction. The Grissom is from the start of Star Trek 3, and, we don't see a lot of Star Trek 3 stuff in it, but I digress. We see some. 2-3-3-2, still the same 2 crew, 2 tech slots, but this interesting ability, when the ship would be destroyed, the attacking ship must discard 1 crew upgrade. If it can't, place an aux power token beside it. Is that a fair trade-off? Probably not. But it does make you think twice. It's going to maybe change the order of who just tries to destroy the Grissom. I at least like the idea. I think that having to discard a crew to destroy a ship seems like a fair trade-off, but I would have liked maybe the attacking ship must discard 1 crew upgrade. If it can't, it must discard its captain, and then if it can't, it takes an aux power token. Give me one more level of things before I get a very temporary problem. But yeah, the Grissom feels thematic. I'll give it that. So JT Esteban, the captain, and so Esteban can take captain's discretion elite talent. We'll get there. But when this ship would be destroyed, move up to 2 crew upgrades equipped to the ship to another friendly ship, even if it exceeds that ship's restrictions. No range limitations, which is cool. And thematic. I like that too. Right? You're thinking of Chekhov and David Marcus. Moving off. Anyway, I don't see a lot of this played, but I could see it working if you're willing to sacrifice a ship. I could see Esteban being part of some weird shenanigans. Then we have Captain's Discretion. So is it worth it for Esteban to take it? I don't know. We'll see. Free action. Discard this card. Perform the action of a crew upgrade equipped to this ship. Well, there's times this could be good. It feels a bit expensive at 4. But you got to think, it is a free action. So you're getting a crew action. You're getting your ship action. I think there's some utility. I don't know that it works well on Esteban. I don't think anything necessarily excites me about combining it with JT Esteban. But I think that Captain's Discretion itself is a great way to get that bonus action of a crew upgrade. It still feels expensive, though. And it's the same issue I have with the McCoys. One that lets you use a crew action for free, one that lets you use a captain action for free. They're okay, and they're relatively unique. So this is relatively unique. But it's not anything I ever really go looking for, searching for. I probably will find a way to use it in a mission because I need that scenario piece to come together. But it is only 1 round. And sure, I can set it up for that first round, that necessary first engagement. But if you get it wrong, which it's very easy to get wrong with JT Esteban because he's skill 3, and you're probably moving first, you're having to predict, is my opponent going to be in range or are they not? Unless you know that you're going to be in range. It's kind of a toss-up. Then we have Comm Station. And Comm Station I do like because it's a tech that turns itself into a crew slot, and that can be valuable. Right, we had Eric Motz on Pegasus that was a crew that turned into a tech slot. But this does more. Comm Station In the activation phase, you disable this card, target a friendly ship, and this game round replace the captain skill on the ship's captain with the captain skill of the target ship's captain. So you're taking your ship and you're making its captain go up. Um, and that can be very helpful. Now that is a disable, so you're probably not doing it a bunch. But again, as like that first engagement round, kind of a cool action. I don't know that it's worth 4 points. I think this is a card that has not aged well. But I like the idea. I think a card like this needed to be time token connected, not a disable. And because comm stations just take time to regenerate. They don't need to be re-enabled, and it's not really an action to be replaced every time. That being said, you can take a low skill captain, you can take a skill 2, 3, 4 captain, and you can jump them up to 10, 12. And that's a big boost. So I do like that standpoint of it, that it can help a lot. So there's good and bad here. All right, then we get close range scan. This is a 3-point tech. Activation phase, if the ship performed a scan action, disable a shield and place a scan token beside this ship. So for a shield, a temporary loss of shield, you get double scan. And times that's good. I don't think it's held up in light of Vulcan pack cards, but for Fed Pure, I think that this is pretty good. I think that there's times you want to scan tokens. If you're trying to use like a ship ability and a captain ability or a crew ability that use scan, you need to have the token for each. So that could be useful. I'm thinking like Enterprise A, the prize ship that uses a scan token. And then there's a Spock, right? Spock converts battle stations to hits if he has a scan token. So yeah, there's utility for this, but you have to know that you're in a decent position if you, in order to disable the shield. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself a lot easier to be destroyed, and that's not good for anybody. So, yeah, close range scan, I think has potential, but again, it's going to come down to missions. It really comes down to the build and what you want to do with it. Genesis Effect is a card we see a decent amount in OP play, tournament play. Setup, place a question mark upgrade with a cost of 5 or less face down beneath this card. In phase, if this ship is within range 1 to 3 of a planet upgrade, disable all of its shields, flip the crew upgrade, so it's a place a crew upgrade. Beneath this card, face up. Place 2 time tokens on it and equip it to its ship, even if it exceeds its restrictions. So, thematic to search for Spock. Lots of crew you can hide with this. Now, it is mission specific. You do have to have a planet in the play area. If you don't have that planet, you can't use Genesis Effect. So you got to know what's going on. You are losing your shields for a round, so that carries an inherent risk. Though things like reinforced hull make it a little less risky. Although it is in phase. It's in phase, you're disabling your shields, and then they're instantly coming back up. So, yeah, it's almost not even a risk. Sorry, need to read a card in total timing. Yeah, and then you're getting the crew back in, well, not even 2 rounds because you put a time token on it, then you instantly remove a time token, and Yeah, so you just basically don't get the crew for one round. And yeah, it's a cheap way to get a crew for less points. Be that somebody like Mr. Spock for 5 points, or even just crew that you didn't have a crew slot for. That's what Genesis Effect does. So I like Genesis Effect a lot. I often forget about it, but I do like it. Riker, this is the same Riker from Pegasus, so we'll go over him again for the sake of completion. Modify the captain skill of the captain equipped to the ship by +3. Solid ability. If the captain equipped to the ship is disabled or discarded, the ship's captain is skill 5. Riker takes over. And if this ship receives a face-up communications failure, where the ship would be skill 0, or injured captain, where you couldn't use your talents, flip that damage card face down. So, preventing a couple of crits. You still have the damage, but you don't have the effect. All of it, is it worth 4 points? Yes. If it wasn't named William T. Riker. And that's the only problem I have, is there's so many other versions of Riker that I would rather run, that this one just slips down for me. Other people value it more highly than I do, and that's okay. I'm just not there. So that's the trade-off where I'm at. David Marcus, if a crew upgrade equipped to this ship would be discarded, discard this card instead. I like the protection, but we get it cheaper with, I think Beverly Crusher does it, and she disables for a disable, so she's even better in that way. But David has a second option. When defending, discard this card to add an evade. Now, if he was time tokens to add an evade, that would feel more worth it. Or if he was when defending, discard this card, cancel the attack, that would also feel more worthwhile. Also, thematically, I wish he would be able to be discarded to protect a captain or an admiral or any persona. That, again, would feel thematic. But he doesn't. That's not what he does. And he just feels like he's two half-baked ideas coming together, and neither of those mesh well together, so he doesn't work for me. I think I ran him when I did Kobayashi Maru, and I put him on my fleet because I knew I was desperately going to need an evade, and he is a decent way to get a single evade, because I wasn't desperate on points, but most of the time you need points, and he just is too many points for what he does. Then we have Federation Helmsman. For an action, you take an Ox Power token, and you do a white 1 straight or bank. Hasn't held up. Helmsman from Alliance feels better because you can adjust a maneuver. Now that's disabled. This is the Ox Power token, so you're kind of trading off for a less good move next turn. However, that extra move that you can do after you see where you've landed, especially if you're moving late, can be really good, right? If you're the top captain, something like Romulan Cloaking Device doesn't actually scare you 100%, because you still have an answer after your move. A 1 bank could change things for you. It doesn't fix it, but it could. There's no guarantees, but potential. And sometimes that's all you need. So Federation Helmsman feels okay. I think poorly priced again, but I find it at least usable enough, and I don't mind it in a pinch, but it's not something I'm going to use all the time. Certain missions, happy to run it in certain missions. So, yeah. Oh, and then we have Savick. Savick is when defending, if the ship's within range 1 to 2 of a planet token. You get to convert a blank into an evade, and I think Savick is a very good 1 point card. I am happy to have Savick in play almost any time there is a planet token in the game because she does something very nice, converting blanks into evades that turns my defense dice from 3 out of 8 to 5 out of 8, and I will always take a 62.5% chance as opposed to the 37.5% chance. Yeah, you've all seen the way I roll defense dice. They are very, very, very poor, and this gives me better odds. Uh, no, it's only one conversion, but she's a 1 point card. What do you really want from her? Yeah, I like combining like Savick and I think it's Valeris, who on a green maneuver I get an evade token, and you can put some pretty cheap but effective crew together, and they work well. So yeah, overall, yes, I'm right. This is the end of the pack. Overall, I'm not going to say this is a necessary pack, but I think it's an interesting pack for cards like Savick, Genesis Effect. Even Calm Station does something interesting, and the Grissom herself does something interesting, different. Uh, Again, not 100% the best of the best, but still viable, playable, interesting, and ships cards in this pack that are worth getting. I think this is still one of the more available card packs out there because the Oberth class is not the most popular. Even if you don't run the Grissom, there's cards in here that are fun, they're useful. Genesis Effect alone is a worthwhile card. I kind of would like to argue that if Genesis Effect had been put as an OP prize card, it would sell for more than the Oberth class card pack does, the Grissom card pack does. But it wasn't. It's part of this, and people still don't value it. And that's weird to me. But anywho, um, yeah, that's going to be it for me. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep brushing up your game. Take care, everyone.